I know it's been a while since the movie came out, but here's my spoiler review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We're going to be talking about spoilers in this video, so if you guys haven't seen the movie, be sure to go check it out. But without further ado, let's get into the spoiler review. Let's talk about one of my least favorite things about the movie, the ending. The ending of this movie is very underwhelming because it's not really a happy ending, and it's not really like a sad ending either. It's really just an ending. It isn't a happy ending by any means, it's just an ending. When you compare the ending of The Last Crusade, which is, in my opinion, the best ending of Indiana Jones, it has him riding off into the sunset, and if you look at the ending of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it has Indy getting married to Marion, and both of those were really good endings, but here it just has Indy and Marion back together again after like a second divorce, and it just doesn't hit very hard. It really doesn't feel very emotional or impactful because it doesn't give me chills. That scene never gave me chills. It just reminded me of another time that I had chills at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like I said earlier, this ending is not like a happy ending or anything, it's just unending. It's not a happy ending with Indy riding off into the sunset or getting married to Marion. He and Marion are just kind of there, and it doesn't feel very impactful or emotional. It would feel emotional if it was done better, but because it's just kind of there, I don't know, it just didn't hit as hard, and honestly, it's a very underwhelming ending to Indiana Jones. Shia LaBeouf's character, Mutt Williams, was one of those things that a lot of people, including myself, were really wondering about in this movie because we were wondering if he was going to return for this movie. Was he going to get a cameo? Was he going to make an appearance at all? Or was he going to be mentioned? He's not in this movie, but I will say that I think the way that they wrote him out is very, very good. I feel like the way they wrote him out was clever, and I think it made sense for the character because, in case you guys don't remember, Mutt's stepfather, or at least what he thought was his real father, was a World War II pilot. And with his stepfather being a war hero and him looking up to his stepfather more than his actual father, Indy, I honestly think that he would enlist in the Vietnam War. I honestly never saw Mutt's character as someone that would go on adventures on his own or would follow in Indy's footsteps. I could see him tagging along for some of his adventures, but I never really saw him as someone that would go on adventures on his own or would follow in his footsteps. I also never thought that the connection between Mutt and Indy was that strong. At the end of Crystal Skull, it's definitely a lot better, but I could definitely see struggles and arguments in the future for them. And because I never expected Mutt to follow in Indy's footsteps, and I never expected him and Indy to have the strongest bond, I think it makes total sense that he wanted to enlist in the Vietnam War to really smite Indy and to piss him off. One thing that really doesn't make sense to me, though, is that Indy did not use the dial to change anything. They have this awesome scene where Indy talks about what he would do if he had the dial and he could change the course of history, and he says that he would bring his son back or he would prevent him from ever going to war. But for some reason, they had this awesome idea for an ending that would have made it a lot better, but of course they did not do that. They didn't mess with the dial. I don't know why. They did not bring Mutt Williams back. They did not change the course of history at all. And that idea of what would Indy do with the dial is just completely thrown out the window. And honestly, I think if they had brought Mutt back, and maybe if Indy had used the dial to change the course of history so that Indy was there for Mutt as a kid and had actually stayed with Marion or had fixed up some of the mistakes he made in his past, I think that would have made a much, much better ending. But for some reason, we're stuck with a very mediocre ending. One last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this movie is the climax, because I am very torn apart when it comes to this third act. The third act has them going back in time to meet Archimedes, and I'm honestly kind of conflicted about this climax because there is a lot of weird stuff in Indiana Jones. We've had aliens, we've had vampires, we've had cybernetic Nazis. I mentioned this in another video. But yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in the Indiana Jones universe. So is time travel really going too far when we've already seen aliens and a bunch of other crap? I really don't know. On one hand, it's very unrealistic, and on the other hand, it's Indiana Jones, and we've seen aliens and vampires and other stuff like that, so why is it that time travel is too far-fetched? I will say that I think the emotional scene at the end of the third act is very good. I will say that Harrison Ford had a lot of great acting in that scene. He was given some nice material to work with. Unfortunately, though, the emotion coming from Helena in that scene was not warranted. She starts crying and says, Indy, you need to come back to the future and everything. You need to go back to the future. But it just does not work because Helena didn't have a strong connection with Indy. She treats him like crap throughout the whole movie. It did not make sense. The emotion coming from Indy and Harrison Ford was amazing, but the emotion coming from Helena was not warranted. It could have been good if her character was better, but it just wasn't warranted. If she said, like, I need a father figure, I need someone that could help me straighten out my life, and that's why I need you back in the future, that could make sense, but it's just not done well. But what are your spoiler thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? I'd love to know them in the comments. Be sure to go check out some of my other Indiana Jones videos. I've got a video defending Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I've also got a retrospective of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and a non-spoiler review of Indiana Jones 5. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless you guys. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. God bless you guys, and I'll see you all next time.